when we really look at life and you really think about your own experience, you've been through some stuff. I mean, really, you have been through some stuff. You had to deal with some stuff that you did not imagine. It wasn't in the scope or the plan that you had lined out for your life. Oh yeah, I know folk passing, you can't tell them. But if you wrote your life story, people would be amazed at what you had to go through. Struggles and situations, decisions and indecisiveness, enemies and frenemies, fakes and the phonies, trauma and the traumatic, the storm and the rain, the heartache and the pain. Oh yeah, you've been through some stuff. But it's amazing, it's so amazing how you can deal with all you've had to deal with and hear somebody else talk about what they're dealing with, and you think, Lord, I'm so glad I got this and I don't have that. Isn't that amazing? I mean, it can be very sobering to find out what somebody else has been going through or hear their testimony. And you think about the last conversation that you talked to somebody in the grocery store as you pass it, or in the mall, or maybe a little phone call, or they send you a message and somebody mentioned all that they've been going through, and you say, wow, they don't look like they've been going through all of that. Or when you do look at them sometimes and see them, and you can tell, man, they've been going through. I thank God for what I have. Well, Jeremiah is calling to the remembrance of the people of God, God's loving kindness. And so to give some meat to the context, I want to go over to a New Testament parable to help us to understand. And maybe we can pull some nuggets out of that. And then at the end, I'm going to give you what the title of the sermon was. The Parable of the Prodigal Son. The main character is a father who was forgiving and consistent as he represented God. He was forgiving and consistent in his forgiveness. If you remember the story, the youngest son, he is lost, and he represents those who are lost. And the oldest son represents the righteous. Now, I know that we have looked at the story at the perspective of the prodigal son and the one that was lost. And I know that we've looked at the story in a way that we look at the forgiving father as God is the forgiving father. But most of us are not in that category. Most of us are the oldest child. See, you have to understand, the Pharisees were challenging God. They were challenging Jesus' theology because they said he sits with sinners and those who sin. And he tells this story of the prodigal son because he wants to relate that not only are those who are lost ones that can be considered as sinners, but those who think they're righteous, or those who can be considered as sinners as well. So here's the story. There was a man who had two sons, and the younger one said to his father, "Father, give me my share of the estate." So he divided his property between them. You missed it. He said it again. The younger one said to the father, "Give me my share of the estate." So he divided his property between them. Listen, the father grants his request, and it was the son's free will decision that he could have his inheritance because he asked for it, according to that time. And let me say this. There are times when God will let you have what God knows you can't handle, to teach you a lesson all expected it. We're talking about the oldest son. I need you to see it one more time. The younger one said to the father, Father, give me my share of the estate. So he divided his property between them. Wait a minute. The younger one asked, but the older one got something too. Sometimes you get blessed and you're not looking for it. Have you ever been engaged in the normal routine and all of a sudden the Lord stepped in and blessed that situation beyond your wildest dream? Somebody's actions in here might have caused a chain reaction that could possibly have gotten you blessed. And anybody in here ever received an unexpected blessing? I mean, really unexpected. And you know, if you really know God, sometimes God does it and you don't even know how you got it, where it came from. You didn't even have it on your mind, but God still blessed you with it. And see, if God can bless you unexpectedly and you did not ask, what happens when you ask? If the Lord has done anything for anybody around you because they ask, no matter what the circumstance is, it's got to be only God that can provide for your needs unexpectedly when you didn't even ask him for what you needed. So if the Lord has done anything for anyone around you and they ask, then you need to tell them, since the Lord answered you, can you tell him next time about me? But in the process, start anticipating unexpected blessings. Because that's the type of God we serve, that every now and then we get unexpected blessings because of somebody's actions. I don't know whose mama, grandmama, daddy, granddaddy prayed for you. They long gone resting in heaven's gates, and God is blessing you unexpectedly because their prayers will keep reverberating in God's ears. Bless my child, bless my grandchild, and God is doing some unexpected things in your life. Point number 2, sometimes somebody's misfortune will reveal how fortunate you are. You just got to let that settle in. And let me tell you, every time I pull up to a red light and I see someone holding a sign, whether they are really homeless or not, the fact that they have to stand out there and hold it is enough to sober me to say, Lord, I'm so glad I'm fortunate to not be in that circumstance. Look at what happens in the story in verse 13. Not long after that, the younger son got all his stuff together, set off for a distant country. There he squandered his wealth in wild living. And after he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in the whole country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out as a citizen of that country. Wait. Because sometimes we put emphasis on what he did. But every now and then you got to look at circumstances that happen. Because there are times when I look at people's life and I say, well, how did you get there? And they say, I don't know. I didn't, I was trying to just live life, but something happened. But look, he might have been all right. But the key is in verse 14. After he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in the land, in that whole country, and he began to be in need. So meaning that if the country had not been in a famine, he might have made it out all right. Yeah. There's some circumstances that are out of your control that you cannot handle. Yeah. You cannot do anything about it. So sometimes somebody's misfortune is not their own fault. But somebody's misfortune can reveal how fortunate you are. So he went and hired himself out as a citizen in that country, who sent him to the fields to feed pigs. And he longed, because he was hungry, to fill his stomach with the food that the pigs would eat. And the scripture says, but no one gave him anything. Right? What a hard place to be in. When you're struggling and trying your best to come up, and no one will give you a helping hand to get up. Listen, there are times we don't feel blessed or even look blessed. But when you see somebody in something so bad, it ought to make you grateful. That you wouldn't even want to complain about what you're dealing with. Because had things been switched, Lord help me, had things been tweaked another way, had you made one wrong move, that it could have been you in a pig pen, Lord help me. Somebody ought to be grateful. Somebody ought to be a little bit thankful that if that thing had gone one more step, it had gone a little bit further, that you would have been in the same circumstance. He says when he came to his senses, he said, how many of my father's hired servants have food to spare? And here I'm starving to death. I will set out and go back to my father and say to my father, Father, I've sinned against heaven and against you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants. Yes. Sometimes someone's misfortune will reveal how fortunate you are. Now, he makes his way toward home. Word says that the father had been anticipating him coming. And when the father saw him from afar off, he took off running. And he reached him and he grabbed him, threw his arms around him. And he called for the servants, give him the best robe. Put a ring on his finger. My son is back. My son is here. We need to celebrate and have a good time because my son is back. The one that was out there has come in. But the older brother became angry when he heard the music and dancing, and he asked what was going on. And one of the servants said, do you not know your brother has come back and your father has killed the fatted calf, and they're celebrating that your brother is back? The older brother, who was angry, refused to go to the party. He refused to go in. And so his father came out and pleaded with him. But he answered his father and said, look, all these years I've been slaving. You never disobeyed your orders, did everything you asked me to do, yet you never gave me even a young goat so that I could celebrate with my friends. Let me tell you, friends, people of God, my last point, I'm about to sit down. Sometimes you have to celebrate that it was not you. He said, but when this son of yours who has squandered your property with prostitutes, I didn't see that in the story, but you know how folk will add stuff to your story that's not even your story. I didn't see that in the story, but okay, you killed the fatted calf for him. See, the problem that the older brother had is that he never utilized the blessings at his disposal. I don't need someone to give me what I already have access to. Look at what he says in verse 31. My son, the father said, you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. I'd rather have access to everything than somebody giving me something that I need. Lord, help me again. And when you trust God and you love God and you serve God and you believe in God, God says, I'm giving you access to everything I have, not just some of the stuff you want. Access to it all. Now, you have to celebrate that it was not you. So, the title of my sermon is Thank God it was not you. Why have I focused on this older brother? Because we get so caught up in praising God for what God has brought us through and brought us out of, that every now and then we forget to celebrate God for the stuff that God didn't allow us to go through. Because some things that some folk go through, with all that I've had to go through, I can handle what I'm going through, but I look at some people's life and I say, Lord, I thank you that it was not me. Because I don't know if I could be able to handle it like they've been able to handle it. And somebody ought to thank God in this place for the storms that you watch pass over somebody else's life that you didn't have to be in. You ought to thank God for the struggles that somebody else had to deal with that you didn't have to deal with. You ought to thank God for the stuff that you didn't have to go through. You ought to look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor, I know you've been through some stuff, but I thank God that it wasn't me. Good God Almighty. So, let me see if church folk know when to shout. He says, you have always been with me. Everything I have is yours. He said, but we had to celebrate and be glad because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And somebody in here has to thank God it was not you, because you never had to be dead enough that he had to raise you up again. And you've never been so lost that you had to be in the lost and found. Somebody in here ought to thank God that it was not you. And can I prophesy to you as your pastor? Because somebody has been faithful in this house. Somebody's been committed to this church. You've been a part of the work. You've been helping it grow because you're doing your part. This is what your pastor's prayer is for you, that you would have all access to what God has in store. I speak it over your life today, that you have full access to the blessings of God. Can your pastors prophesy and speak over your life? I've been in prayer that you have all access. And if you seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and its righteousness, all these things will be added to you. Look at somebody and say, I got access. You have been covered, you have been protected, and somebody needs to celebrate the storms you didn't go through, the troubles you did not see, the dangers and toils and snares that the Lord kept you from. You ought to celebrate. I feel like the song that says tragedies are a commonplace, all kinds of diseases, and people are slipping away. The economy is down, can't get enough pay. But as for me, all I can say is thank you, Lord, for all that you've done for me. It could have been me outdoors with no food and no clothes, left alone without a friend, just another number with a tragic end. But you didn't seem fit to let those things be. And with your power, you keep on blessing me. Somebody ought to shout, thank you, Lord, for all the things that you've done for me. The next time you experience somebody in passing that has been through something, don't judge. Don't look down. You were one step away. You were one step away. One moment, 1 minute, one blink of God's eye to move that fence of protection around from you. You're one step away. You ought to thank God. Even while you're listening to them. They're saying, I'm praying for you. You might get happy on the inside. And say, Lord, thank you, that ain't me. I got some stuff, but that is not me. I thank you, Lord, that it was not me. I've been able to deal with what I'm dealing with. And my classmates last night said, man, we had no idea. Some said, I saw on Facebook a couple of posts. Man, we were praying for you. But then some of them got to talking and talking about some of their circumstances in life. And I said, Lord, I know I've been through some stuff, but I thank you that wasn't me. That's how you got to feel about this life that God gives you. I have enough to deal with what I got. I can't deal with what nobody else has to deal with. That's your burden. I thank God for my burden, but I'm going to thank God and celebrate with you. I'm going to celebrate that God has been keeping you, but I'm also celebrate that it wasn't me. That's the God we serve. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Everybody, you be standing on your feet.